rewrite it, how would you want to reposition this industry? And the reason I say that is because all of us here are all warriors at some level, and we all have a different role, and we're all fighting multi-billion-dollar insurance companies who are trying to help policyholders recover and restore their lives. And so I'm just real curious if you spent any time at all with Anthony and seen the program and you've heard some of the issues and what goes on behind the scenes. I'm just really interested in hearing your view from an outsider, what you guys see when you're looking in compared to other industries.
Well, I'll respond first. I've always been an outsider. But I'm essentially saying that each and every one of you must become an outsider. Because the opportunity to transform what you do in the way that you do it is to see it from the outside as well as from the inside. And that's why I speak about going to work on it, not just in it. When I look at somebody like Ken and Brad Korn, who's the E-Myth real estate agent, they each had this ability to become absolutely profoundly committed students. Do you understand? Students of what they didn't know to apply to what they thought they did know. And so when I hear the frustrations that are most often spoken to me, and I call them key frustrations in a small and growing business, in a large and growing business, or a large and failing business, frustrations over the past 40 years have been identically the same. Do you understand? They haven't changed one bit. Now understand, over the past 40 years, everything's changed, we believe. To go online, to go, you follow me. So the whole idea of systems isn't an original idea today. But the way we approach it as the CEO of our company must become not an original idea, but a seminal idea. Everything does fall into a system. So for example, I heard the gentleman saying on the end that you don't have to write it down. That's effectively what I heard. But I've been hearing that for 40 years. You don't have to write it down. But if you don't write it down, then how do I show somebody how I do it? Well, let me show you how I do what I do by what I say. Now let's read it together. Just this short paragraph. Let's read it together, I'm saying to you. And then we begin to read it together, and I ask you to say it. And then you say it, and I say, now just emphasize that word, and see what happens inside of you. And suddenly, you follow what I'm saying to you? Tactical, strategic, are all together unified in the approach of the outsider looking at the insider, suggesting that the insider must gain the view from the inside as it appears to someone from the outside, and suddenly everything changes. It is so absolutely staggering that everything changes. And so my view is simply that. You got to work on your enterprise, on your company, through what we call the Eightfold Path. And every single one of you can adopt the Eightfold Path to what you do every single day. I have a dream, I have a vision, I have a purpose, I have a mission. That's the first step in the process. Those are the first 4 steps. Now I have a job. And the job is what the gentleman is speaking about, the smallest of the small. Lead generation, lead conversion, client fulfillment, my franchise prototype. And anybody who has read my books know I speak about your franchise prototype, whether you're franchising or not. You understand it must be turnkey to the ability, for your ability to be able to replicate it faithfully a second time, a third time, a fifth time, a 20th time, a 1,000th time, whether that be a salesperson, whether that be a client fulfillment person, whether that be a lead generation person. Do you understand? The franchise is the franchise, the franchise, the franchise, from the smallest of the small to the largest of the large, from every single function in your company. The minute you can see it that way, you can create it that way. The minute you can create it that way, you know what the 2000th guy is saying, just like the very first guy who ever said it that way is saying it, because it's the very first person you're saying it to. You got it? So when you see that, then you go to the job, the practice, the business, the enterprise. So it's I have a platform for everything I'm about to do. My dream, my vision, my purpose, my mission. Every single one of you must know what your dream is, what your vision is, what your purpose is, and what your mission is. But that's not difficult to do. All you got to do is do it. And that you do together. I have a dream, let me tell you my dream. So effectively, you got to have a story at the heart of everything you're about to create and grow exponentially. What's your story? What's your story? Well, Ken Goodrich has a story. Brad Korn has a story. I have a story. You have a story. He has a story. And your story must be your story. Do you understand what you're about to grow? And it's not going to sound like his story, her story, Murray's story, or Jimmy's story. It's going to be your story. And it's going to come from your heart. It's going to come from your mind. It's going to come from the outside of your company to see that flourishing enterprise that's going to be born out of it. Just like Ray Kroc did at McDonald's. Every single one of you must own a franchise that you can replicate faithfully every single time. Hear me. Every single one of you must. Now, you don't have to. You can just do it any damn way. And I'm telling you, any damn way is just every damn stupid way. Because effectively, you're never going to be able to know, let alone what that 2000th guy is saying, what that 20th guy is saying. And everybody's going to be making it up their own way. And when that happens, it's chaos supreme. And I can guarantee you, every single one of your companies, whether you know this or not, to the degree you talk about your ethics, to the degree you talk about your system, hear me, not one of you know what Ken Goodrich knows about every single one of his guys are doing every single day. And it's not because he put them in a lockbox. It's because he took them through a process in which they learned it and earned it and suddenly owned it because it worked so absolutely spectacularly every single time they do it. That's my answer. Thank you.
Scott? That's a great answer. Scott, I think what you were saying was, industry, you talked about also the industry. The problem with everyone in the industry coming to these guys don't have a lot of insight yet. They probably will after 3 days into our industry because they just got here. That's a great entrepreneurial answer, but our industry is so inundated. Public adjusters, attorneys, you're a public adjuster, right, Scott?